Hello, PACE 111 learners. It's Steve. I hope that you're doing well and are having a wonderful week number 2. Hard to believe we already are in week number 2. I'm sure the session is just going to fly by for all of us. So I wanted to just touch on two important topics for our week number 2. First off, we have a discussion board again for week number 2. I want to thank all of you for the quality engagement that you provided in our week number 1 discussion. I really enjoyed reviewing your introductions, hearing about your personalized stories, your experiences that you bring to this class, your goals, all of that. It's quite humbling and inspiring. So thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I wanted to just share some tips that I typically will use for this course to help students continue to provide, or I should say, to continue to develop their discussion board posts. So it's not always easy, at least for me, when I'm presented with a topic and then I have to comment on that topic and such. And that's kind of what a discussion board is. We're giving you topics or themes or questions, and we're asking you to respond to those topics, themes, or questions in a thoughtful and compelling way. So I've listed some tips here to hopefully help you with that. The first is making sure that you are responding to all of the writing prompts for that particular discussion. You probably noticed for discussion number 1, and some of you have already posted for discussion number 2, that there are typically multiple topics that you're being asked to provide your insights and perspectives on. So just make sure that you are responding to all of the writing prompts. Try to speak in specifics as well. Sometimes we can get caught up in generalities that are vague, that don't really force us to dive deeper and to think really critically about the topic or themes that we're being asked about. So do your best to always provide some detail and specificity in your posts. With that being said, on the flip side, quality over quantity. So we're really looking that you have a cohesive post, that it's organized, kind of a flowing of ideas and thoughts. You're connecting your ideas and thoughts. It has clarity. It's comprehensive. When I read it, I'm able to understand it and such. And then also at the bottom right there, I say we, I mean me, I guess. I should say there's a rubric that will be completing for you on your discussion posts. But I'm looking also that a student is using an authentic voice. So what do we mean by that? I mean genuineness, really being real, speaking honestly about your experiences, but also taking into account respect for your classmates' experiences that may be different from yourself. The top right one there, proofreading your posts before you submit them, is always important. One rule of thumb that I subscribed to in college many years ago was reading my papers out loud before I submitted them. It really allowed me to cut down or cut out any mistakes, spelling or grammatical mistakes. When you actually hear, you're actually speaking your paper, you're reading it out loud. I know that sounds really silly, but it is so true. But at the bottom there, we have just some reminders about deadlines, that you're to do your initial post by Sunday evening at 11:59 p.m. and then reply to a minimum of 2 of your classmates' posts by then Tuesday at 11:59 p.m. I also put a little note there about, so if you're responding to a classmate's post, and let's say you ask them a question, it's appropriate discussion board etiquette, I guess you could call it, to actually respond back to that person and answer those questions, to keep the dialogue happening. And it also shows, again, a value and respect for your classmates when you do that. So I do notice usually each time I teach this course that that sometimes is a challenge for students, or they just forget to do it. We want to always be responding. If I'm asking a question too of you, I'm kind of looking for you to respond to that. And the same holds true if you're asking me a question. You should hold me to the same standard and such. Now, there is something called the RISE model for peer feedback. You're not going to be graded on this model when you do your discussion posts. I'll just throw that out there. So you don't have to necessarily say, well, am I reflecting? Am I using inquiry? Am I suggesting? Am I elevating the discussion? No, you don't have to be that, I guess obsessed might be the word to use about that. But what I would say to you is that you really want to hit on each of these items. An effective discussion post is really using all these different items. So reflecting, meaning processing what your classmates are saying, empathizing or relating to something they're saying. Inquiry is really question formation, where you're posing a question to your classmate about a specific content item from their posts. Suggestion is really the improvement aspect. So we're not being critical when we suggest, but we're maybe, let's say that I'm communicating a challenge or problem that I'm experiencing. Somebody in the class might have also experienced a similar problem such as that, and be able to provide some guidance for helping me to work through or manage that problem. And the final one there you see is elevate. So we want to be thinking about how can we use this discussion to benefit our future, to benefit future communications that we have. Now, the final item I want to just quickly mention here is putting in a plug for the Instructor Connect or Instructor Connection meetings that take place twice during the PACE 111 course. The first of which is to happen next week or the week after, so within the next 2 weeks. I've had about 5 or 6 of you. I did make a post announcement about this already, and 5 or 6 of you I think have already scheduled. So thank you to those 5 or 6. I really appreciate it. It means you're reading the announcements, so I really appreciate that, because I do put some time and effort into putting this content together. So if you have not scheduled your Instructor Connection meeting yet with me, go to the link that you see at the bottom there, calendly.com/Steve, PACE 111 UMGC, and you'll see some open dates and times. There'll be all of a 15-minute meeting. And it's an opportunity for me to really check in on you, to see how are things going. What do you need more out of me? If you have any questions about any of the upcoming course content, that's a good time to ask that kind of information. So please go ahead and schedule your Instructor Connection meeting as soon as possible. I will also mention that these are grading events, so you do earn points for these connection meetings with me. So do go ahead and schedule your meeting as soon as you can. So thank you so much for listening. I'm sorry I was a little bit long-winded with this. I do really appreciate your time, and I do also really appreciate the time and energy that you are investing in this course. So hope you all have a great evening, and talk to you soon.